Hello everyone. Welcome to Skholar IAS, your one-stop solution for IAS preparation. I'm Anubhav Sharma. I'm your guide and mentor here to help you realize your dream of becoming an IAS or an IPS officer, right? So students, आज का जो हमारा topic है, वो topic है on what exactly is the daily routine of an IAS officer. How exactly does a right aspirant, what is the right strategy by which an aspirant prepares for the IAS exam, and how exactly does he or she breaks the day into different parts. ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन है स्टूडेंट्स, बिकॉज जनरली हम लोग बहुत बड़ी बड़ी चीज़ों के बारे में सोचते हैं, बट हम लोग उन छोटी छोटी बातों का ध्यान नहीं देते, विच एक्चुअली मेक्स अ लॉट ऑफ डिफरेंस. एंड हियर व्हाट आई मीन इज what exactly should be your daily approach. Yes, we need to have big targets in our mind. We need to have medium term targets. We also need to have some short term targets in our mind. But what is important is the fact that we are at all points we are preparing for the exam in a manner in which we know what exactly needs to be done on daily basis, right? तो सबसे पहले हम लोग उसी पे ही आज बात करेंगे, that is daily schedule for an IAS officer. So students, आपके जो भी doubts हो आप इस पे पूछते रहिए. I'll be helping you out, क्योंकि क्या होता है कि daily routine हर एक का एक तो नहीं हो सकता, हर एक का अलग अलग होता है. Everyone will be having their own daily routine so that they are able to find that right balance between their study routine and their routine with respect to the other things that they need to do. इस सेशन के दौरान जो भी आपके डाउट्स होंगे वो आप मुझसे पूछते रहिए. आई विल बी हेल्पिंग यू आउट विद दैट. स्टूडेंट्स, मेरी थोड़ी सी तबीयत भी खराब है, तो अगर मैं बीच में इफ आई कॉफ और समथिंग, प्लीज पार्डन मी फॉर दैट. तो स्टूडेंट, सबसे पहले बात करते हैं दैट व्हाट एग्जैक्टली आर वी डूइंग. व्हाट वी आर डूइंग इज टू प्रिपेयर फॉर द यूपीएससी एग्जामिनेशन, राइट? Now in UPSC examination, something that we need to be very clear about is कि पढ़ना तो काफी ज्यादा पड़ेगा. तो अगर हम लोग देखें फॉर एन एस्पिरेंट जो अभी अभी अपनी तैयारी चालू कर रहा है, व्हाट एग्जैक्टली आर द नंबर ऑफ आवर्स दैट ही शुड बी गिविंग फॉर द एग्जामिनेशन. नाउ इट्स नॉट नेसेसरी कि जो मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ दैट हैज टू बी द ओनली वे इन व्हिच यू नीड टू गो अबाउट. इट कैन बी डिफरेंट आल्सो, बट मेरा सजेशन आपके लिए रहेगा that you should try to find 9 hours at least every day for the examination, for the preparation of examination, that you are giving 9 hours of dedicated study for your UPSC preparation. Now, the first question that must be coming in your mind is कि सर ये 9 hours, how exactly do we need to break it? किस तरह इन 9 घंटों को तोड़े so that we are able to make the most of it? My suggestion to you would be to break it down into 3 main formats. 3-3 घंटे के 3 अलग अलग आप इसको सेक्शन में बांटिए. Please divide these into 3 study slots. What are these 3 study slots? So you have the first study slot of 3 hours. This should be dedicated for your current affairs, right? For current affairs, it includes your daily newspaper, your current affairs magazine, and your daily what you say as daily dose of objective current affairs. What exactly do I mean by this? Essentially, students, in our Skholar app, what we do is that we all daily upload the MCQs, which is important for prelims examination for the upcoming year. जो MCQs हम अपलोड करते हैं रोज, वो एग्जैक्टली होते कहाँ से हैं? वो होते हैं जो उस दिन के करंट अफेयर्स है. So the first thing that you need to keep in mind is that while you prepare for civil services, in the first slot that you dedicate of 3 hours should be for current affairs. In these 3 hours, you need to find time to cover your daily newspaper. This can either be your Hindu or Indian Express. Then you must cover your current affairs magazine. With respect to coverage of current affairs magazine, in one of my previous lectures, in one of our previous sessions, I have covered this point where I have said that ideally you should not be reading more than 10 pages per day of the current affairs magazine that you are following. अगर आप हमारे स्कॉलर की प्रिस्क्राइब्ड करंट अफेयर्स मैगजीन को देखेंगे, so what you would see that if you are covering 10 pages every day, in every 10 days you'll be able to cover 1 month worth of current affairs. So essentially what you need to do is to revise it again in the next 10 days. This is the most effective manner in which you can study current affairs. This is the most effective manner in which you can also revise current affairs, which is very very important, more so for the current affairs part, क्योंकि वो change होता रहता है. Static तो आप बार बार पढ़ भी सकते हैं, but current affairs बार बार change होता रहेगा. Then daily dose of objective current affairs is again very important. It is important why? For the simple reason that now prelims examination which UPSC is conducting is heavily relying on some of those objective current affairs जो आप आसानी से न्यूज़पेपर में नहीं देख सकते, जो आप आसानी से जो current affairs magazine होती है उसमें आपको नहीं मिलेगा. What you require is that on daily basis you are able to create those MCQs which are important for that day's current affairs and you keep on practicing it. इसी काम को आसान कर देने के लिए हम जो एट स्कॉलर वी आर गिविंग यू 5 MCQs daily on current affairs and we are also providing you daily prelims dose which is absolutely free. So please download the Scholar app और इस चीज को आप देखिए. Anyways, तो पहली चीज हमने क्या देखी that if we are aiming for 9 hours of studies every day, we should actually be dividing it into 3 phases of 3 hours each. दूसरी चीज हमने क्या देखी, जो हमारा पहला फेज होगा, जो हमारा पहला स्लॉट होगा 3 hours का, दैट विल बी एब्सोल्युटली डेडिकेटेड टुवर्ड्स करंट अफेयर्स. करंट अफेयर्स में हम डेली न्यूज़पेपर भी इसी टाइम में कवर करेंगे, हम करंट अफेयर्स मैगजीन भी करेंगे, हम डेली डोज ऑफ ऑब्जेक्टिव करंट अफेयर्स भी कवर करेंगे. Ankita Das is actually asking a good question that should we be preparing notes out of newspaper? Ankita, yes, ideally you should be preparing notes, but then the problem that the student faces generally is that if one is reading newspaper and is also preparing the notes, how long can they actually invest in making the notes? As such, what is important is that you're able to get these notes, a synopsis kind of a thing with respect to the important things in newspapers at one place. Then again, Scholar app is of great help because every day we are selecting the 5 most important articles, not just from one newspaper, but across newspapers, most important news of the day, and we are presenting it in a very lucid manner so that you don't really have to create notes for it, prepare notes for it. You can just rely on the Scholar IAS app. Let's say if you want to prepare notes for it, I think my advice to you would be that you just try to identify the most important topics and try to make them in about 1/10 of the notes that you're writing. For example, if there is a 300-word article and if you believe that that article is very important, try to make it in about 30 to 50 words. That's it. The moment you go beyond it, you'll actually be investing more in making notes than to be studying. और क्योंकि UPSC का जो syllabus है वो इतना enormous है, you need to have that fine balance as to identify what's the most effective and prudent way to use your time, right? तो note making बिल्कुल important topics के लिए कीजिए. Make sure that it is about 10% of the words of the notes that you're making. कि अगर 300 word का article है तो about 30 to 40 words में आप उसको shrunk कर पा रहे हैं. And अगर ये चीज के अलावा what you can do, you can just access Scholar IAS app जहाँ पे आपको ये notes पहले ही बने हुए मिल जाएंगे. Fine. चलो. Hello, good evening, Bhavnashu. How to plan the study schedule with graduation ongoing. ठीक है Bhavnashu, इस पर भी हम बात करेंगे. तो अभी तक हमने देखा that for 9 hours of dedicated study, we would require to invest the first slot of 3 hours on current affairs. What should we be doing with these 2 slots? Now, students, if you are a new aspirant, if you are just starting with your preparation for civil services, my advice to you would be that at least for first 2 months, you should be using these 2 slots in a manner in which you take up 2 subjects. What are these 2 subjects? These subjects should be polity and history. So what exactly am I trying to say here? That when we talk about the second 3-hour slot and third 3-hour slot for month 1 and 2. You should be investing these 2 slots for your GS static subjects. Why exactly am I advising you to invest in your GS static subjects, and that also history and polity? The reason is very simple. Now, students, one of the mistakes which a lot of new aspirants are doing is to start with their optional from the day one itself, which I do not believe is the right strategy. The right strategy for any new aspirant should be that they must first try to get a reasonable hold over their general studies preparation, and then they should pivot towards their optional preparation. Why exactly am I saying that? The reason is that when you start preparing for civil services, it will be very tough for you to understand newspaper. It will be very tough for you to understand the current affairs magazine that you're getting. In fact, if you were to read a newspaper, there will be so many terms which will confuse you. In order to make sure that you are able to understand these things in a more effective manner, it is first necessary on your part to be thorough with some of the basic GS, of which history and polity are very, very important part. I hope you are able to understand what I'm trying to say here. What I'm trying to tell you here is कि अगर आपकी reasonable hold हो जाती है history and polity में, you are preparing for civil services, but at the same time, you are now able to get a reasonable hold on your newspaper understanding, on your current affairs understanding. That will give you a better hold after 2 months जब आप अपने ऑप्शनल को तो उठाएंगे, बट साथ ही साथ अपनी जीएस की तैयारी कंटिन्यू रखेंगे. Let me again explain it to you, and this time I'll try to explain it in a simpler manner. तो मैं आपको ये कह रहा हूँ कि अगर आप अपने 9 घंटों को 3 स्लॉट्स में डिवाइड करते हैं, इफ यू डिवाइडिंग योर 9 hours into 3 slots of 3 hours each, the first 3-hour slot is for what? The first slot is for current affairs. The second slot is for GS subject, and your third slot is also for a separate GS subject. As far as this third slot is concerned, it should be only for the first 2 months that you must be investing it on GS subject. After that, you need to take your optional. For the second slot, you need to continue with your GS subject till the time you have taken good control, good handle over your GS preparation, right? I hope this point is clear. What exactly have we understood? कि पहले हम CS करंट अफेयर्स को समझेंगे, सेकंड स्लॉट में अब जनरल स्टडीज के किसी टॉपिक को उठाएंगे, थर्ड स्लॉट में भी जनरल स्टडीज के टॉपिक को उठाएंगे. जब हम जनरल स्टडीज के टॉपिक को उठाएंगे तो शुरू में हम कौन से टॉपिक्स उठाएंगे? वी विल पुट फर्स्ट स्लॉट फॉर हिस्ट्री एंड द सेकंड स्लॉट फॉर पॉलिटी. फाइन. आई होप आपको सब समझ में आ रहा है व्हाट वी आर ट्राइंग टू कवर हियर. Now we talk about the third slot. थर्ड स्लॉट में जो फर्स्ट 2 months है, जो आपके फर्स्ट 2 months है, इसमें तो हम जीएस पढ़ रहे हैं. जब इसके अपकमिंग मतलब आफ्टर 2 months, जिसको हम बोल सकते हैं आफ्टर 2 months, हम इसमें क्या पढ़ेंगे? हम इसमें अपने ऑप्शनल की तैयारी करेंगे. Now students, here again I'll come back to the previous point which I said, that if your optional is political science, if your optional is public administration, if your optional, let's say, sociology, if it is history, your understanding of the GS subject in your first 2 months will again give you the right base for you to start your preparation for these optionals. I hope you're able to now understand it even better why exactly it is necessary for you to first get hold of your GS subjects before you start your optional. Fine. तो यहां तक हो गई थर्ड स्लॉट की बात. तो अब सवाल आता है what exactly should we be doing apart from studies? Now, students, one of the things which I want you to understand, I want you to keep in mind is that preparing for civil services is not only about what you do with your study hours. It is also important how exactly do you invest your non-study hours so that you are able to make the most of your study hours. अगर आप दिन में आपके पास 24 hours है, if you are studying for 9 hours, it is equally important for you to know what exactly will you be doing for the rest of your hours, that is around 15 hours. You need to make sure that you're making the most of these 15 hours in order to make these 9 hours of your study hours as effective as possible. अब ये चीज होगी कैसे? This can be done by when you are able to clearly understand how exactly are you going to go about in these 15 hours. You need to know what exactly are those right 3 slots where you are keeping your 9 hours. अब दो possibilities हो जाती है. पहली, that you are the student who believes in studying at night. आप रात को लंबे hours दे के पढ़ना चाहते हैं. So my idea would be, my suggestion to you would be that invest 6 hours at night and 3 hours in day. अब दूसरी possibility क्या हो सकती है? That you are a person who wants to study in early morning. क्योंकि चाहे हम मॉर्निंग की बात करें या नाइट की बात करें, शोर कम होता है, डिस्टर्बेंस कम होता है. सो you have to choose between these two where exactly you're able to find that sweet spot so that you're able to get your 6 hours of study. तो यहाँ पे आप दिन में आप 6 hours पढ़ लीजिए और रात को आप 3 hours पढ़ लीजिए. अगर आप इन दोनों में से कोई एक चीज को फॉलो करते हैं, लेट मी प्रॉमिस यू, यू विल सी इफेक्टिव रिजल्ट्स in the way in which you are going about in your preparation. आप अपनी प्रिपरेशन में इफेक्टिव रिजल्ट्स देख पाएंगे अगर आप 6 घंटे या 3 घंटे, मतलब आप या तो रात को पढ़ते हैं या सुबह पढ़ते हैं. लेट्स से आप डिसाइड करते हैं कि हम सुबह पढ़ना चाहते हैं, that I want to study in the morning. Then the idea should be that you study as soon as possible, that you need to get up as soon as possible. It should not be sooner, ideally, than 5 a.m. So let's say you get up at 5 a.m. By 5:30, आपको पढ़ाई अपनी टेबल पे बैठ जाना है. You should be sitting in your table in order to prepare for the examination. 5:30 से around आपने अगर 6 hours का slot, एक 6 hours का stretch ले लिया, तो by 11:30 a.m. you will be done with your 2 slots. Then any time in the evening, it can be, let's say, from 5:30 to 8:30, or it can be from 4:30 to 7:30, whatever suits you, you can take your 3rd slot. So what I'm trying to say, that if you are the person who wants to aim for the morning slot, which is very important because morning is the time when you get a very peaceful environment, you don't get disturbed by anyone, you don't get phone calls, you don't get WhatsApp messages. So if you are of this category, you believe कि आप सुबह जल्दी उठ सकते हो, आप अच्छे से पढ़ाई कर सकते हो, you should be getting up at 5 a.m. And then from 5:30 to 11:30, you should be giving your 2 slots of preparation. That should be your current affairs and your GS1. Then when you prepare, then you need to find a slot sometime in the evening. It can be 5:30 to 8:30 or 4:30 to 7:30 when you give your 3rd slot. 3 घंटे की जो दूसरी slot है, that is GS2, right? अब बात करते हैं evening की, that if you want to prepare रात को, if you want to prepare at night, what exactly should be the way in which you must prepare? Then ideally you should be preparing late in the night, and that is sometime from 9 p.m. to around 3 to 3:30 p.m. 3:30 a.m. So this is about 6.5 hours. So around those slots of 2 slots आप अपनी पढ़ाई के रात को दे सकते हैं. Then you sleep at around this time, so you'll be getting up at no sooner than 10 a.m. Then again, you can identify one more slot anytime in the day, let's say from 1 to 4, you give your third slot. So there are two ways in which you can go about. The first is आप सुबह सुबह जल्दी उठ के तैयारी कर लें. आप सुबह सुबह आपने अपने 6 घंटे दे दिए, then sometime in the day you decide to give your 3 more hours. अगर आप रात को पढ़ना चाहते हैं, so the best time would be from 9 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. 3:30 a.m. Why? Because this is the time when you will not be disturbed. यहाँ पे अगर आपने अपने 2 slot दे दिए, all you now need to do is to get your 1 slot done. Ideally, it should be from 1 to 4 so that you will have other things to do. I hope this point is also clear. और अगर आपको कोई doubt है तो please आप उसमें पूछिए so that we can help you out. Now students, यहाँ तक तो हमने बात कर ली how exactly do we go about with respect to our 9 hours of study. The second question is how exactly or what exactly should we be doing in the rest 15 hours. The first thing of course is कि आपके 7 घंटे तो नींद में जाएंगे, and students you should not undervalue the importance of a good night's sleep. Why is that? Because essentially when you're preparing for civil services, what exactly are you doing? What you're doing is to retain a lot of knowledge, a lot of concepts that you're learning on daily basis. In order to retain it, what is also required is that your brain is resting. असल में हम किसी भी चीज को रिकॉल कैसे करते हैं, थोड़ी सी टेक्निकल हो जाएगी बात यहाँ, बट आई होप इट विल हेल्प यू टू अंडरस्टैंड. What we are doing whenever we are trying to understand new things is that we are trying to create neural paths. हमारा जो ब्रेन है उसमें हम न्यूरल पाथ्स बना रहे होते हैं. जो न्यूरल पाथ्स बन रहे होते हैं, ये जब भी हम रिट्रेस करते हैं हम उस नॉलेज को रिकॉल कर पाते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, जैसे इंडिया की कैपिटल न्यू दिल्ली है. Now, ये एक न्यूरल पाथ है जो मेरे ब्रेन में एस्टैब्लिश हो गया है, और जब भी मैं रिकॉल करूंगा, कोई पूछेगा कि इंडिया की कैपिटल क्या है, मैं बताऊंगा न्यू दिल्ली. इसेंशियली मैंने अपनी न्यूरल पाथ को रिट्रेस किया. ये जो न्यूरल पाथ को बिल्ड करना है, दैट टेक्स टाइम. जब हम रिवीजन करते हैं, इसेंशियली हम इस न्यूरल पाथ को स्ट्रॉन्ग करने की कोशिश करते हैं. इट हैज बीन प्रूवन by n number of scientific researchers that good night sleep is very essential for people to establish very strong neural paths. To put it very simply, अगर आप चाहते हैं कि आपकी retention बहुत ज़्यादा हो, it is very necessary that you invest minimum of 7 hours in your sleep. 7 hours is very important if you are preparing, if you are studying for 9 hours. In 9 hours, you are learning so many things. You're building new concepts. You're understanding new things. Problem solving कर रहे हैं. 7 hours will help you to retain better everything that you have done. तो 15 में से 7 hours तो आपकी sleep में चले गए. What should you be doing for the rest of the hours? For the rest of the hours, you should take out at least 3 hours to do those things which one can say as your hobby. Every aspirant, in my opinion, should be having at least one hobby. Students, even in the interview, one of the questions which the interview panel is asking is around the hobby of the candidate. Why exactly hobby is necessary? There are scientific reasons for it, but the very simple reason which I can give you is that you need to find ways in which you are able to make your brain relax and be away from studies. एक तो हम आराम करते हैं जब हम सोते हैं. Apart from it, if you are doing something which is not related to studies, or that is your UPSC preparation, it can be that you go outdoor and you play game. It can be that you follow a cricket match or you watch a movie. It can be that you're learning, let's say, playing a guitar or Casio or anything. What it does is that it relaxes that part of your brain which was engaged in trying to prepare for civil services. I hope you're able to understand what I'm trying to say, right? Ankita is asking a good question that what is the right time to revise, and I'll come to that question, Ankita. So the point is कि अगर हम 7 hours of sleep लेते हैं and 3 hours of hobby पे invest करते हैं, we are left with 5 hours. जो ये 5 hours है, in my opinion, it should be given to the miscellaneous activities that you are doing across the day. What are these miscellaneous activities? It can be going out and buying a book. It can be something to do with a daily exercise that you might be doing. It may also be with respect to some daily chores that you need to take care of. But you need to make sure that you need to kind of keep in mind that 5 hours is all that you have, and how exactly are you going to plan your day keeping this 5 hours in mind. अगर आप इस simple format को follow करते हो, I can tell you, on one hand you're preparing very well for the examination. On the other hand, you're able to take care of your daily chores. You're able to take care of your daily things that you need to do. On the third hand, you're actually doing this along with a hobby, that is you're trying to keep yourself happy. You will be exercising and you'll also be taking a good night's sleep. In short, this preparation for 9 hours every day, which is, in my opinion, a very hectic way to prepare for the examination, will not appear to you as hectic at all. आपको बिल्कुल थकान नहीं महसूस होगी. आप हमेशा energized feel करेंगे जब आप तैयारी करेंगे सिविल सर्विसेज की, right? तो इसमें हमने lesson क्या लिया? That if you are preparing for civil services, if you are preparing for any examination for that matter, which requires 9 to 10 hours of studies every day, it is equally important for you to understand what exactly you are doing for the rest of your 14-15 hours. It is important for you to plan your 9 hours. It is equally important for you to plan your rest 15 hours. 9 hours where you need to know the targets that you have set, what exactly are the things that you're trying to achieve. In the rest 15-16 hours, you need to know how exactly you're going to go about for your day, so that next day जब आप तैयारी करेंगे, next day आप जब अपने 9 घंटे देंगे, उस टाइम पे आप बहुत effectively तैयारी कर सके, right? I hope this is something that you are able to understand and appreciate. अंकिता ने एक इंटरेस्टिंग सवाल पूछा है कि सर, there are two things when we are preparing for the examination. One is when we try to understand new concepts, and second is when we revise. How exactly, or rather, what is the ideal time for us to revise? Now, Ankita, essentially, revision is something that needs to be a part of the process itself. So let's say आपने 3 स्लॉट्स जैसे कि मैंने बताया, आपने इसी में ही प्रोसीड किया अपनी तैयारी का तरीका. तो पहले स्लॉट में आपने करंट अफेयर्स को रखा है, दूसरे स्लॉट में आपने लेट्स से फॉर द सेक ऑफ कन्वीनियंस हिस्ट्री को रखा है, और थर्ड स्लॉट में आपने रखा है पॉलिटी को, राइट? मेरी एडवाइस आपको ये रहेगी कि आप पहले अपने जो जीएस के सब्जेक्ट्स होते हैं उनको चेक पॉइंट्स में डिवाइड कर दीजिए. लेट्स से हिस्ट्री को हम लोग एरास में डिफाइन कर सकते हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल, अगर हम मॉडर्न हिस्ट्री की बात लें, so 1857 to 1883 is a era. So you can say like every 30 years is an era, and in these 30 years, whatever has happened, I will first try to study it. Once you are done with it, what you should be doing is that in this 3 hours of slot that you have for history, you should start revising that thing. Let me again put it. Let's say it took you 5 days. In these 5 days, you gave 3 hours every day for history, and you were able to complete the period between 1857 to 1883. Right? So this is approximately 30 years of history and important events. So what you should be doing is that you must invest your next 5 days, or let's say next 4 days, because you're revising, next 4 days on revising this on the same slot itself. When you are designing, when you are creating a strategy for your subject, in that strategy itself include time for revision. Ankita, this is one of the strategies which a lot of toppers are following. It is not that you need to give only one dedicated time every day where you can revise. Instead, try to include revision as a part of your strategy when you're completing that subject. अगर आपने slot 2 history के लिए दे रखा है, make sure कि आप इसमें at frequent basis पे revision भी करते जा रहे हैं, right? वैसे ही अगर आपने पॉलिटी के लिए लेट्स से आपने रख दिया, तो आई विल ट्राई टू फर्स्ट कवर द फर्स्ट 4 चैप्टर्स ऑफ लक्ष्मीकांत. आपको लग गए 4 दिन इन विच यू वर एबल टू कवर इट. टेक नेक्स्ट 3 days where you revise these 4 chapters in that same time slot that you have designated for the polity subject. जो आपने polity के लिए dedicate रखा है वो slot, वहाँ पे revision भी कर लीजिए. I hope this answers your question. With respect to current affairs, I have already covered it in one of the sessions before, where I have actually explained how exactly should you be going about in terms of revision of current affairs. जो strategy current affairs coverage की बताई है, उस strategy को अगर आप follow करेंगी तो उसमें revision भी included है, जो at least 3 to 4 times आपको revise करा देगा by the time you write the examination. Fine? और कोई सवाल जो आपके मन में आ रहा है? Okay, so Vibhanshu ने पूछा है, good evening sir, how to plan the study schedule with graduation ongoing. So Vibhanshu, let me again just say the question which Vibhanshu has asked. So he's saying, sir, I'm doing my graduation. At the same time, I also want to prepare for civil services. In order to do so, I am not quite able to understand the time that I should be dedicating to my civil services preparation. So Vibhanshu, I think first thing that you should be doing is that you need to prioritize whatever you're studying in your graduation, because that is something for which you have to give an exam, and that will come, right? Then identify those 4 hours, 6 hours, whatever hours that you can take out. When you have taken out that hours, divide it into 2 parts. Let's say you are able to take out 4 hours every day for preparation for civil services, right? For these 4 hours, you divide it into 2 parts. 4 hours getting divided into 2 parts, it's 2 hours each. Cover newspaper for 2 hours, that is current affairs for 2 hours, and for the other 2 hours, try to cover the NCERT for that static subject that you want to cover. Let's say you want to start with history. So what should you be doing? कि आपने 4 घंटे निकाल लिए, or the first 2 hours, you will be preparing for your current affairs. I know it will be tough for the reason many things will not make sense, but still आप उसकी तैयारी कीजिए. And for the next 2 hours, just take the NCERT for history from 6th standard, 7th standard, 8th standard, 9th standard, 10th standard in a sequence, और उसको complete करते चले जाइए. Then again do the same exercise. अच्छा, अब weekends पे आपको थोड़ा ज़्यादा time मिल जाएगा क्योंकि छुट्टी रहती है. Let's say you can take out weekdays पे you're able to take out 4 hours, and weekends पे now you can take out 6 hours. So for extra 2 hours, my advice to you would be just revise everything that you have done in the week. अगर आपने 5 days history को पढ़ा है, you have in fact invested 10 hours of history preparation. So take out invest your weekends in revising whatever you have studied, revising the current affairs that you have gone through. This is all you need to do till the time you are in graduation, and let me promise you, you will actually be able to cover a lot of things in a more meaningful manner. अगर आप हड़बड़ी में बहुत सारी चीजों को एक साथ करने की कोशिश करेंगे, by the time you complete your graduation and you prepare full time for civil services, what will happen is you will notice that a lot of things that you studied while in your graduation, you are not able to recall it. Why? Because you weren't revising it properly. एक सिस्टम, एक स्ट्रैटेजी से तैयारी करें, and I can promise you the system will work for you, right? Hemant is asking, hello, good evening Hemant, could you share tips on staying focused in these slots? देखो Hemant, if you want I can actually prepare a separate session on it. The question which Hemant is asking is very good. Hemant is saying, sir, 3 घंटे के आपने slot बता दी. You just explained us that there are 3 slots of 3 hours each. The question is, how exactly do I keep my focus going on these 3 hours? How exactly should I not let my focus to go away? कि मेरा focus continue रहे. इसके बहुत सारे techniques होते हैं. एक बहुत effective technique है Pomodoro technique. Let me just write the name here. Pomodoro technique. आप गूगल सर्च कर सकते हैं, यूट्यूब पे भी इसके बारे में पढ़ सकते हैं. रिचर्ड फाइनमैन थे एक फिजिसिस्ट, उन्होंने ये टेक्निक बताई थी. What exactly does this technique say? That essentially what you should be doing is to first move away from all the distractions. आप अपनी मोबाइल फोन्स, अपने इसको सबको अपने से दूर रखें. फिर आप क्या करें, आप अलार्म सेट करें, अपने सामने एक घड़ी रखें और अलार्म सेट करें 25 मिनट्स का. आइडिया क्या है, दैट बिफोर यू स्विच ऑन दिस अलार्म, जिसको आप क्या कह सकते हैं, व्हाट यू कॉल टाइम स्टॉपर भी कह सकते हैं, तो 25 मिनट्स में आपको सिर्फ और सिर्फ पढ़ाई करनी है. दिस इज समथिंग दैट यू विल से टू योरसेल्फ. You will not let anything to distract you. You will not let anything to disturb you. And you will make sure that your brain is absolutely focused towards studying that is in front of you. Then when this alarm rings, what do? What you do is that you take a break of 5 minutes. इस 5 मिनट्स में आप ज्यादा सोचे नहीं. हैव सम वाटर, आंखें बंद करना चाहे आप बंद कर लीजिए. देन अगेन 5 मिनट के बाद जब आपका अलार्म बजेगा, what you do, you go back and then you again put your second sitting for Pomodoro. आप 25 minutes की again एक sitting लीजिए. So what exactly are we doing? I take a sitting of 25 minutes, मेरा अलार्म बज जाता है. Then again 5 minutes बाद मेरा अलार्म बजता है. इन 5 minutes में मैंने आराम किया. Then again मैंने 25 minutes की sitting ली. इस 25 minutes में मैंने क्या किया? इस 25 minutes में मैंने again अपनी तैयारी की. फिर अगेन 5 मिनट्स का ब्रेक लिया, फिर अगेन 25 मिनट्स की तैयारी की. एंड आई डू दिस फॉर 4 टाइम्स. दैट इज मैं 4 सिटिंग्स ऐसे लेता हूं. 4th सिटिंग के बाद मैं 30 मिनट्स का एक ब्रेक लेता हूं. इन 30 मिनट्स में मैं क्या करूंगा? इन 30 मिनट्स में आई विल ट्राई, जैसे अगर आपको अपने व्हाट्सएप मैसेजेस देखने हैं, आपको ईमेल्स देखने हैं, आपको कुछ चीज़ों का अपडेट लिखनी है, स्कोर देखना है, whatever you want to do, you do this in these 30 minutes. You can also choose to take a power nap, a short nap of just 25 minutes. Then again, you start with the same system, 4 sittings, for 25 minutes, 5-minute break, 25 minutes, 5-minute break, 25 minutes, 5-minute break, 25 minutes, 5-minute break, then a 30-minute break, then again 25 minutes, 5-minute break, 25 minutes, 5-minute break. जैसे जैसे आप इसको करने लगेंगे, one thing that you'll notice is that your productivity is increasing because you are telling to yourself that I need to keep my focus going for 25 minutes without getting distracted. And over the period of time, that is about 10 to 12 days, अगर आप continuously इसको करते रहेंगे, you will identify कि अब आप 6 सेटिंग्स लगातार कर सकते हैं. आपकी सेटिंग्स की कैपेसिटी बढ़ती चली जाएगी. और ऐसे करते करते you'll actually be able to make the most of your 9 hours of studies. I hope I'm making sense. I hope you're able to understand what I'm saying. I hope it also helped you, right? Okay, so coming to the next question. Aditya, sir, apart from this, what about answer writing practice when we need to start? Aditya, with respect to answer writing practice, the thing is, it depends on individual to individual. At what stage of preparation are you? So if you are the person who are still in graduation and just started your preparation, my advice to you would be that you please try to first focus on your graduation and try to cover the static GS along with newspaper reading. If you have just started your preparation, right, then the first thing that you need to do is for you to know what you need to write in the answers. For example, आपने तैयारी अभी से चालू की है, and अगर आप अभी से अपनी आंसर राइटिंग चालू कर देंगे, you'll actually get more demotivated. Why? For the reason you don't really know the tricks of the trade. You don't really know how to use the terms, how exactly you need to write good points, what all are the points that you need to write, how exactly do I use economic survey in my answers, right? तो पहली चीज, अगर if you have just started, पहली चीज that you should be doing is that you need to get hold of your GS and your understanding of newspaper. पहले around 4 months आप सिर्फ इस पे ही दीजिए, right? Then you start your answer writing from with your optional. अगर आपका ऑप्शनल कोई भी ह्यूमैनिटीज का सब्जेक्ट है, पॉलिटिकल साइंस है, हिस्ट्री है, पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, सोशियोलॉजी है, साइकोलॉजी है, आंसर राइटिंग यू शुड ऑलवेज स्टार्ट विद ऑप्शनल फॉर द रीजन कि आपको एक कंप्लीट आंसर लिखने की प्रैक्टिस ऑप्शनल से जल्दी होगी एज कंपेयर टू जीएस, क्योंकि जीएस में कभी भी एक डिफाइंड अच्छा आंसर है नहीं. When we talk about, let's say, political science or public administration, if there's a question with respect to the theory of public administration or theory of political science, in many ways, you'll actually be able to reach a better answer as compared to anything, a question which is being asked from current affairs. So मेरी एडवाइस ये रहेगी कि जब भी आप आंसर राइटिंग स्टार्ट करें, अपने ऑप्शनल से स्टार्ट करें. जब आपने करीब 1 से 2 महीने ऑप्शनल की आंसर राइटिंग कर ली है, उसके बाद यू शुड स्टार्ट योर आंसर राइटिंग फॉर GS1, GS2 एंड GS3, राइट? GS1, GS2, GS3 की आंसर राइटिंग के खास बात क्या है? दैट essentially it is about learning the right technique of how exactly do you write your answer and about time management. It is not so much about how exactly are you framing your answer, that is कि आपका introduction conclusion कितना effective है या कि आपने सवाल को गलत तो नहीं समझा। GS1 to 3 में वो गलतियां कम होती है। GS1 to 3 में जो मेन गलती होती है वो ये होती है कि आपका कंटेंट इज नॉट सफिशिएंट टू द डिमांड ऑफ द क्वेश्चन। दैट इज व्हाई GS1 to 3 की आंसर राइटिंग प्रैक्टिस आप पहले स्टार्ट करें एज कंपेयर टू एसए एंड GS4। जो एसए और GS4 है, इनमें आपके आंसर की आई मीन देयर नीड्स टू बी अ फ्लेयर इन व्हिच यू राइट योर आंसर। Your essay should have a flair. Your essay answer, your ethics answers needs to have ethical reasoning. एथिक जिसको हम कह रहे हैं ना, मॉरल अंडरस्टैंडिंग आपकी काफी डीप होनी चाहिए, फिलोसॉफिकल अंडरस्टैंडिंग अच्छी होनी चाहिए। वैसे ही ऐसे में भी आपके जो ऐसे पैराग्राफ को फॉर्म करने की, स्ट्रक्चरिंग करने की कैपेसिटी, कैपेबिलिटी होनी चाहिए। देयर हैज टू बी अ फ्लो in the way in which your essay is proceeding. But in GS1 to 3, it is about those short bursts of knowledge that you need to put for every question that is being asked. तो हमने क्या समझा? अगर आप ग्रेजुएशन है और आपने जस्ट स्टार्ट की अपनी तैयारी को, तो पहले जस्ट गिव योरसेल्फ 3 to 4 months where you get command over GS and use. Then for the next 1 to 2 months, you should start answer writing for optionals and then pick up answer writing for GS1 to 3. And as you go along, you will know the right time when you should pick up answer writing for GS4 and SA. I hope this helped you in terms of understanding how to go about for answer writing. Okay? Okay, so Vandana is asking, what is the right time to start answer writing? So Vandana, I've just explained here that the right time is that first 4 months should be invested in understanding of GS in newspaper, and then you should start answer writing from your optional, and then pivot to GS1, GS2, GS3. ठीक है, so Hemant is saying thank you. You're welcome, Hemant. अगर आपके और भी कोई सवाल है तो please put up here. Sir, are there daily articles of Scholar sufficient to cover current affairs part? So Kritika is asking, sir, जो daily articles हम लोग डाल रहे हैं Scholar पे, are they sufficient to cover current affairs part? Kritika, नहीं. See, essentially, what exactly are we trying to do? Those 5 articles that we are putting up are the most important 5 articles of the day. That is for you to have a deeper understanding of the concept on which that article was based on, right? But the questions that are getting asked are of different nature across prelims, mains, and if you include interview also. In prelims, there could be a question on science and tech on which the articles may not be covering anything. In mains, there could be a question on some part of, let's say, biotechnology, something with respect to history that again articles are not covering. So current affairs, एक होता है current affairs और एक होता है current issues. Current issues की तो understanding आपको मिल जाएगी because that is what articles are trying to do. It is trying to give you an understanding of something with an issue which is very important. आपका section 377 पे अगर एक article आ सकता है, so that's an issue. आपका let's say capital punishment पे एक article आ सकता है हिंदू में, that is again on an issue, right? अभी फार्मर बिल पे है तो फार्म रिफॉर्म्स पे आ सकता है एक आर्टिकल दैट अगेन इज ऑन इशू। बट करंट अफेयर्स में कभी कभी हमें गवर्नमेंट की पॉलिसीज को पढ़ना पड़ता है, हमें पढ़ना पड़ता है कोई नया इनिशिएटिव अगर कहीं लिया है, कोई क्लाइमेट चेंज इनिशिएटिव किसी कंट्री ने लिया है। तो जो आर्टिकल्स का पर्पस है वो मेनली है आपको करंट इश्यूज पे लाना, आपकी आंसर राइटिंग, आपको कंसेप्ट की क्लैरिटी देना। लेकिन अगर आपको प्रॉपर कमांड चाहिए करंट अफेयर्स में, मेरा एडवाइस रहेगा एक न्यूज़पेपर डेली पढ़े आप, और जो 5 आर्टिकल्स का हम सिनॉप्सिस डालते हैं आप वो पढ़ें। हम लोग जो प्रीलिम्स बूस्टर दे रहे हैं आप उसको अच्छे से पढ़ें, जो 5 MCQs डेली दे रहे हैं उसको पढ़ें, और जो मैगजीन स्कॉलर की हम लोग अपलोड कर रहे हैं अपनी वेबसाइट पे, अपने स्कॉलर ऐप पे, आप उसको जाके डाउनलोड करें और उसको पढ़ें। अगर आप ये 5 चीजें करते हैं, you are absolutely on track in order to solve 90 to 95% of the questions which are coming from the current affairs. I hope this answers the question which you're asking, right? So Kritika, the daily current affairs. Okay, so this is Aditya is saying thank you. You're welcome, Aditya. Vandana, you're welcome, Vandana. So if there are any other questions, please ask away, or else we'll end the session. Fine. So the last thing, students, which I'll request you is that you please subscribe to Scholar IAS and you also press the bell icon, because we'll be having a lot of such sessions in future. We have already had many of these sessions. If you haven't seen them, I would request you to please go and watch them, for the reason कि वो आपकी preparation में बहुत ज़्यादा help करेंगे. Shubhangi ma'am has also taken some sessions on history, some sessions with respect to answer writing for history, some concept-based sessions also. Please go and check that out too. Bell icon दबाने से ये होगा कि you'll always get intimation whenever the live session is going to go up. अच्छी चीज ये रहती है हमारे लाइव सेशन में that we always try to answer all the questions and queries which students are having, unlike many of the other live sessions. तो हम लोग उस चीज का बाउंड नहीं रखते हो. We don't let ourselves get bounded by it. अगर आपके पास और भी सवाल हो कुछ हो, you can keep posting us at Scholar IAS. Have a good night, students. Take care. Stay safe.